My father kicked me out of the house to adopt his new wife's children and cut off contact with me. And now, 10 years later, he demands that I donate my kidney to one of them. My mother passed away when I was very young, and being an only child, I had to deal with it on my own. My father, on the other hand, didn't seem to care. And the next week he was already seeing other people. I know there's no rule for when people should start dating again after the end of a relationship, but my mother had passed away, and it seemed like he just didn't care. After about 2 years, he finally found a steady girlfriend who had 2 children. I thought this would be good for me, as I would finally have company my age in the house. But it was exactly the opposite. Her children made my life a living hell. They broke my things, took the money I earned from my jobs, forbade me from entering my own room, and so on. I tried to tell my father about this, but he just laughed and said it was just boys being boys and that I should get used to it because they were my brothers. Of course, I could never get used to it, but our coexistence didn't last long. 1 year later, my father married his girlfriend and kicked me out of the house, sending me to live with my uncle. His justification was that my supposed brothers couldn't stand me anymore and wanted me to leave, which I never understood why, since I had never done anything to them. I tried to argue that I wanted to be close to my father, but he just said he didn't care and that I was just a reminder of my mother to him and that he didn't want to see my face anymore. I went to live with my uncle, and despite him being irresponsible and spending most of his time away, he treated me better than my father ever did. He helped me with my chores, took me out for walks, and even bought me a computer for my birthday. Nowadays, I no longer live with my uncle, but he is still my best friend and I consider him my true father. During all this time, which was over 10 years, my father didn't speak to me even once. But that changed about a week ago. My uncle called me and asked me to go to his house urgently. And apparently my father was demanding that I talk to him about a serious matter. Although I didn't want to go because it was a request from my uncle and out of curiosity, I went. Arriving there, my father just started talking about one of his adopted sons and his health condition, completely ignoring the fact that he hadn't spoken to me for 10 years. After he finished talking, I asked what I had to do with all this, and he finally said that his son needed a kidney and he wanted me to donate mine. I laughed and said there was no chance of that happening and that we didn't even know if we were compatible. And then he said that his was compatible and therefore mine probably was too, but he would take me to do the tests to make sure. Anyway, I said no and that I didn't care about his son, that he cut off contact with me for 10 years and now he still had the nerve to come and ask something like that from someone I didn't even like is absurd. He said I would have to donate. And that's when my uncle finally spoke up and said I didn't have to do anything and that he only called me there because he thought my father would finally apologize for everything he did. Now he saw that he continues to be the selfish, spoiled, and horrible person he has always been since childhood. My father still tried to convince me to get in his car to go do the tests, but this generated even more arguments and eventually he left without saying anything more when we threatened to call the police. Now somehow he found out my number and he sends me messages every day saying how ungrateful I am for not doing this favor for him. And his wife makes constant posts about how cruel I am for not doing this for her beloved son. Honestly, I don't even know why my own father doesn't donate since he himself said he was compatible. I don't know what to do and honestly, I just wish these people would forget about me again. But I guarantee if the posts continue and if he keeps calling me these things, I will make sure they have one more problem besides their sick son. Now you can check if there's a part 2 by pressing share and more.